And we are live. Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm David Boles, and this is Boles.tv, BOLES.tv, .television, BOLES.live, if you're looking for video on demand. And if you want video on demand with the wonderful chat, well, then you gotta go to Twitch, and you have to have a subscription. And you can get one of those using your Amazon Prime subscription as well. Well, it's a very strange day here in New York City. Dark, foreboding, rainy, scary. It has knocked out, I want to say my main competitor, but I don't think competitor is the right name. I think wife is better. And somehow I'm seeing my voice echoing. Hello? Somewhere? Okay, maybe it was my phone. I turned it down. And when we have weather like this, where it's heavy, cloudy, high humidity, boy, she just gets rocked. So she's here, but she's unavailable because she's recovering from the weather. But it's going to be supposed to be nice in the afternoon, so we'll see. The facial scars on my forehead, healing well. This one is just very bright and a little bloody, but not bad. Well, the most disappointing news of the day is this COVID thing that just won't leave us alone. And nobody wants to talk about it anymore. Everybody's over it. Oh, I have COVID fatigue. And meanwhile, more and more people are getting sick. Dr. Fauci now says he has COVID. And he's double vaxxed and double boosted. Or triple boosted or whatever. And you just look at that, you say, well, if Dr. Fauci's going to get it, what about the rest of us? Nobody wants this. Some people don't care, I guess. But then you remember when Dr. Fauci, a year ago, threw out the first ball of the Washington Nationals baseball game. And he did a terrible job. But I bought his. Do I still have it here? I bought his baseball card of him throwing out the first pitch, and it was terrible. I don't know where it is. But I love it so much because it's so terrible. Oh, I had it somewhere. Well, anyway. And then, of course, he's sitting there after he threw the pitch with 3 or 4 other people in the stadium, the empty stadium. And all the people around him are wearing a mask, except for Dr. Fauci. And of course, the conservative news media ran after him and said, double standard, two-faced, liar. And Dr. Fauci tried to say, look, it was outside. Everyone else had a mask on. I had just come back from throwing the pitch. I hadn't put my mask on yet, but 30 seconds later, my mask was on. And the conservative media didn't care. They just roiled him and roasted him. And I have to say, rightly so. You have to be smarter than that. You went through the AIDS epidemic, Dr. Fauci. People look up to you. They look for guidance. And when you make a little tiny dumb mistake, like not putting your mask on instantly when you finish throwing the pitch, people are going to hack you until you are bloody. And boy, they did. And I don't blame him. It was entirely his fault. And then you have people like AOC, right? Oh boy, progressive, smart, wonderful. I think she's terrific. Then she decides to go down to Miami on a vacation with her boyfriend. Doesn't wear a mask. Conservative media take a picture of her outside at some bistro eating. And then she comes back to New York, has COVID. Two-faced, liar. And again, the conservative media is right. You're talking out both sides of your mouth. Oh, in New York City, you have to wear a mask. But when you're on vacation, because you're AOC, and because you're in Miami, oh, you don't have to wear a mask. And then you get COVID. I mean, it's just so stupid. And we can't, these are the people who are leading us. These are the people we're supposed to look up to and respect, and they talk out of both sides of their mouths. It's just incredible. We have a friend who is a well-respected therapist. And he now has COVID. And all along, he's sort of been a little loose about this whole thing about, well, you can't hide, you have to live your life, you have to go out. And, some of us who know him are saying, yeah, for you maybe, but for the rest of us, we don't want this. We're going to be careful. We're not going into big crowds. We're old, we're ugly, we're vulnerable, we're wearing our masks 24/7. And he's been doing his therapy work virtually for about 1.5 years. So that's great. That's a job to have, is to be a therapist or even a psychologist. And you can do all of your office visits via Zoom. You don't have to leave your porch. You don't have to go in person and sit there and listen to this person drone on and on and on about their lives. You can just do it from home. Have a cup of coffee. And they do, and they should. I like it. It's accessible. New subscriber, Commissioner Gordon, says you have to live your life on people's tombstones who passed from COVID. Absolutely right. It's such a terrible, unreasonable thing. So this therapist friend of ours now has COVID. What? And I guess over the weekend, he had visited his ill mother, who is 94 years old, and she happened to have COVID, and he visited her and got COVID. Now, what? How? Why? Yes, you're visiting your 94-year-old mother. Wonderful. She's in a place of comfort. Terrific. You know she has COVID. Are you taking off your mask when you're with her? Are you kissing her? How would you... Let's say she didn't have COVID, and you were coming from New York City to visit her, and she's 94 years old. What if you're a carrier? Wouldn't you be wearing a mask just by default so you wouldn't make your mother sick? I find the whole thing strange, and it sort of makes me question the judgment of this person who's a therapist who advises people on how to live a better life. Shocking to me. And then yesterday we got the news. Some would say brighter news, but not me. That would be mean. The governor of the great state of Nebraska, Pete Ricketts, and his wife now have COVID. Celebrate. Deep red, dark, punishing GOP member. And there are some people in Nebraska who are saying, oh, we hope he gets better. Let's be better than he was. And there are other people saying, no. Let's wish the worst on him, even though he's going to get all the drugs and everything that he ever needs because he's the governor and he has a lot of private money. But let's hope he suffers, some say, as he made others suffer in the great state of Nebraska. No mask mandate. The city of Lincoln had a mask mandate, and he flexes his muscles, trying to be Ron DeSantis, saying, I'm the governor, I overrule Lancaster County. No masks for anybody. And if you wear a mask in a public place that's a government building, you're going to be in trouble. Well, enjoy your illness. And then we know this person, who happens to be a student at a major university, who has had COVID twice in the last 6 months, happens to some people, and now has it a third time. And you look at this person and you think you're very smart. You go to a very difficult school to get into. And you've not had COVID once, twice, but 3 times in 6 months. That's an average of every 2 months you're getting COVID. Now, why? Is it because you think you're immune? And we don't ask this question because we can't ask these questions, but it makes you wonder. I mean, you get COVID once. Okay, what can you do? It happened. But it seems like after you get it once, you would want to protect yourself. 3 times a COVID, absolutely. It's the Commodores and Lionel Richie, live and in concert. Not on Boles.tv. And the second time, you think, oh, well, I guess I'm not immune. I guess I should wear my mask everywhere. I guess I should be super careful because maybe I'm a carrier as well. And then over the weekend, you go visit your uncle who has COVID, very sick, and you come back with your third round of COVID. I don't understand. And what I find so interesting is now there's this new thing that's, you're hearing from, important people and people you like and respect. And it's like, oh, COVID's now going to be as common as the flu. It's just a virus. We're all going to get COVID. Eventually, we can't run from it. We just have to accept it. And you know who is saying that? Oh, we're all going to get COVID. People who have COVID. The people who have not yet been touched are not saying that. Jen Marie and I, we are not saying that. We are saying we're being very careful. We're not going into big crowds. We're not going into restaurants. We'll take out, but we're not going to sit there. We wear our masks in all appropriate public places, which is for us everywhere. And so far, so good. Now, what are you going to do? Someone gets hit. What are you going to do? In the office, the great state of New York has said it's not mandatory to wear a mask in the office any longer. However, we recommend that you do it anyway. But New York State, the governor says you don't have to, but maybe you want to, but governor said you don't have to, but do it anyway. And there's some people who don't. They just walk around, no mask, everywhere, breathing on people. And then there are people like my wife and others who wear their mask. And about a month ago, 2 weeks ago, there was an outbreak. 2 people in a state office had COVID. And those are the people who are walking around, no mask. I don't understand the rationale. I don't understand the idea of it. And then there's this whole thing with long COVID that's supposed to be a thing, but nobody knows if it's going to be a thing or not. They check the disability rolls and people who are applying for services, and they're not seeing a big turn in it, but they say that doesn't mean it isn't coming because we don't have enough data on that yet. Sounds like a nasty thing. And something I think I'm going to talk about tomorrow, and we're off on Monday because it's a holiday. I've been told, so I'm not here Monday. But I was been reading something very interesting about this abortion thing and how it's going to be, Roe is going to be overturned by the Supreme Court, and I might try to investigate this more tomorrow. Because the interesting thing I've read is, the Jews will protect us. The Jews are going to save abortion. As the old joke goes, how does the old joke go? The old joke would go, the Supreme Court has banned abortion. And the Jew says, hold my beer. That's a lot of responsibility for Gordon. It is. And that's why Gordon is probably going to have to be a big resource. But as I understand it, and you can correct me now or you can wait till tomorrow, but as I understand the argument, the Jewish groups, especially in Texas right now, and all over the United States de Americano, are waiting for the Roe shoe to drop so they can file an infringement of religion against the state of Texas and against the government of the United States, saying that it is thousands of years old in the Jewish religion that a woman has a right to an abortion. That a baby in the Jewish religion is not a baby until the head pops out of the mother, if I'm being too graphic. As I understand it, I am a nothing from the Midwest. That is correct, Gordon says. Well, maybe we're having this discussion now. And because of genetic concerns, historically in the Jewish community, tight, locked community, there are always concerns about genetic deficiencies in a fetus. And if there is an idea that the fetus is not going to be viable, that is required by Jewish law to terminate the pregnancy. Gordon also says, until the head makes its appearance, the mother's life is more important. Well, there you go. That's absolutely the way it should be. So the idea is, yes, that a fetus is not a human being yet, and that the life of the mother always comes first, and that there's no way, really, that there can be a law outlawing abortion, because the Jews are going to say, wait a minute. That's not going to happen, because that's our religion you're messing with. So there's going to be this big fight between the abortion people, the anti-abortion people, and I guess the Jews are going to stand up and say, we're not doing this. And how can you say, on one hand, the fascist Christianos who say the baby's life is more important than the mother, no abortion, period. When you go back historically, it was never that way. There were never two people when someone was pregnant. It was always one person, and that was the mother. But they've changed it. These radical Christians have changed it now that there are two people there. But they're not protected in any way. The fetus is not considered a person for tax reasons or for healthcare reasons. It's always the mother and then this other thing. So it's going to set up this big battle between the hardcore fascist right-wing Christians and, I would say, the reasonable Jews on the other hand. And it's going to be a big religious fight. But if you think about it, and you know the history, the Jews are going to win. And then the Supreme Court will say, well, you have to be a Jew to get an abortion. Well, look out! I think there are going to be a lot of people, perhaps male and female, maybe joining the tribe, as they say. Rightly or wrongly, it's a way out, which is a very good thing. And then there are some people, you read, who are, okay, well, the Jews are finally standing up for women, but they're also sort of upset with the hardcore Jews who are anti-mask, anti-vax, just whatever happens is God's will. So these mainly females are torn between that extreme, no mask, no vaccine, and the other extreme where, yes, abortions are fine. But then at the end, they say, look, we have to do what we have to do. And we go with the people who want to help us and support us. Not for our sake, but for their sake, for the sake of their religion. So that's going to be very, very, very interesting. And I guess I've already talked about it. And just doing a little bit of research, I mean, the topics are just so interesting. I guess I should show you this, because I was looking at this just before the show, and then I got all riled up, and I decided to talk about it right now. But it's bubbling, and you're not hearing about this anywhere, really. It's very, very, very interesting that it's being just kind of talked about online, but in very specific places. Like somebody said, there's this big Facebook group where it's something like Ask a Jew Anything. And people go in there humbly and kindly, not to argue, but you just say, could you explain this to me? And there are wonderful people in that group who will explain the Jewish religion and what it all means. And that's where these people are getting their answers. It's really terrific. And here are the top stories from Reuters. Florida abortion ban violates Jews' religious freedom. Fabulous. My Jewish faith makes me pro-abortion. South Florida synagogue sues over Florida's new 15-week abortion ban. Synagogue challenges Florida abortion ban, saying it violates Jews' religious. It's just going to be fat. And Ron DeSantis is going to be in the middle of it. And he is an awful, evil, terrible person. And here's just the regular stories, not necessarily hot news items. Judaism and abortion. Florida's new abortion law. Abortion and Judaism, my Jewish learning. On and on and on. And it's really fabulous. Because it's going to be impossible to knock it down. To say this religion is more important than that religion. Because that is anti-American. Now, it doesn't mean they're not going to try. But will they win in court? That is going to be the interesting question. So I have these photos I've been meaning to show you all week, but I get all wound up and I get distracted and I go different ways. So we'll look at them very briefly before I have a little break. The first one is this. This is the actual badge for Amsterdam, because we were talking about badges the other day. And now you can see the tulip. Finally. It's very cute. Of course, there's no year on it. And this is brand new. So obviously they're keeping the tulip as a tulip. And I think it's fabulous. This, which I've been saving, is the view from our window. Capital One Bank right here. Jersey Journal right here. 26 Journal Square, which is now owned by the Kushners. Very beautiful building. And this is where that strip mall used to be that we talked about earlier in the week. And the Kushners, not Jared, but his cousin Gerald, K-R-E, have purchased this plot of land. It's been sitting like this, pretty much like this, for about 17 years. And they're building 2 towers. I don't know why they're calling it 2 towers, but it's 2 towers. It's a convention center, a hotel, and I guess condominiums and maybe some apartments. But these giant machines you see here are pounders, is what I call them. And they go clunk, 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 because they're driving things into the ground. Tolkien fans, I don't get the joke, Gordon. You have to explain it to me. And these clunky machines just are very loud. So this is looking sort of, I guess, I would say westerly out of our window. So this whole J.R. Tolkien wrote a book called The 2 Towers. Very good, I like that. That's what they should call it. Not the Twin Towers, the 2 Towers. So this whole view of the Newark Harbor, Capital Bank, Seatown right over here, all that's going to be blocked by these 2 giant towers. But the afternoon sun is very vicious to us, and the sun usually goes this way. So maybe the giant thing will be a big sunblock for us, at least for a couple of hours, which would be very nice to have. Talked about this the other day. Yeah, remember this? I found it. This is the ad, I believe, in the 1970s, celebrating sugar as a diet aid. Snack on some candy. About an hour before lunch. Sugar's quick energy can be the willpower you need to eat less. Hey, surprise! Sugar isn't a bad guy. The sugar in a soft drink or ice cream cone, shortly before mealtime, turns into energy fast. And that energy could be just the energy you need to say no to those extra helpings at mealtime. That's why sugar is a good guy. Surprise! Sugar! Only 18 calories per teaspoon, and it's all energy. Sugar information, Box 94, New York, New York. 10001. Oh, I love it. Oh, how far we've come. This is such a wonderful, wonderful photo. Now, I believe this is originally from Me or My Son, a Reddit subgroup that I love very much because it's very silly. And it's something big and something small that are the same thing in the same shot. And the line is, if it's like laundry detergent, big, small, never wash me or my son again. If it's a bulldozer, big bulldozer, tiny bulldozer, never move dirt with me or my son again. And this one is obviously, to me, a me or my son. Don't pet me or my son again. And this is clearly a Maine Coon. And a beautiful, beautiful cat. But somebody took this, not me, and put it in another subreddit and saying, it was the subtitle, "Find someone in your life who looks at Julian like Bart looks at Julian." Which is cute too, but me or my son is funnier. And I know it's the original because this is very familiar to me. Because I remember that cat. Gorgeous. Hey! I've shown my knife collection before here. It was like 45 minutes of knives. Early in the lifetime of the show. And on one of the knife groups, somebody posted this. Introverted, but willing to discuss knives. I think there was something at a knife show. I think it's fantastic. And it does sort of define me. I'm introverted, but if you have a knife to talk about, I'll tell you anything. This is a great cartoon. Joe, it's your time. You're an old man. On your way to heaven, you will make peace with those whose lives you've taken. Oh. Hugs the person I guess he killed in a war. And then as he looks over the shoulder of the person he kills in the war, he sees all the animals that he's eaten. That's powerful stuff. I really wasn't expecting that. Really quite lovely. And then the great state of Nebraska. Hey, it's not for everyone. But I do love this story. From the Nebraska Examiner. I didn't know there was another, off-brand radical sort of newspaper other than the Flatwater Press. And I have now discovered there is something called the Nebraska Examiner, which also appears to be written daily by rejects from the Omaha World Herald, which used to be the greatest newspaper in the history of Nebraska, which is now nothing. It's an ads newspaper. Terrible destruction of opportunity. So the Nebraska Examiner publishes every day and kind of takes the outside look, because the Journal Star and now the Omaha World Herald have become PR, press releases, reprint places. Whatever the governor says, just reprint it. Don't analyze it. Don't research. Don't find out anything because nobody wants to know. Just keep quiet. So Costco, I guess, I'm not a member of Costco and I don't eat chicken, but I guess they have this thing throughout the years that is a rotisserie chicken that sells for $4.99. And they've never raised the price, and you can go in and buy 10 of them, and people go crazy over them. They go in and buy 3 at a time and put them in the refrigerator and eat them all week. So now Costco is getting sued because of the way that these chickens are raised. Loss leader, that's exactly what it is, Gordon. Yeah, come on in. I guess, is it Costco or Walmart? There's one of those that has some kind of great slice of pizza as well that's like 99 cents or $1.99. It's the best pizza they've ever tasted in their lives. Costco, thank you. And I know that because there was a story of a pizza place who was judged to have the best pizza in the world. And their churros are fantastic. I did not know that either. I don't think we have a Costco nearby. There's a Sam's Mart or Sam's Club sort of nearby. And then people said about this pizza place, this tastes alarmingly like Costco pizza. And they asked the owner, oh no, we make it fresh here every day. And then you say that, well, people start staking you out. Gordon says Sam's Club. The difference between Sam's Club and Costco is amazing. Well, so which is better, I guess? I don't know. Does Costco have a fee? I think Sam's Club has a membership fee. But I know most people know all of this because that's where they shop. We don't do that because we don't have a car. And you're going to buy in bulk, you got to have some way to get it back. And now, luckily, there's Uber, but that's sort of a new thing. And so people staked out that pizza place day and night with cameras. They saw the owner going to Costco, followed him to Costco, buying racks of pizzas, bringing them into his store, putting them into his box, and then throwing away the Costco pizza boxes in his garbage. And they had it all on video. It was terrific. Costco, 100% better. They both have membership fees. We would take the E-train to get to Costco, and it was worth it. Wow. That's really terrific. I don't think I've ever been in a Costco. I'm going to have to look into that. I was at a Sam's Club once, and it was pretty neat. So in Lincoln, Nebraska, a lawsuit claims that Costco is in violation of Nebraska and Iowa livestock welfare laws by breeding chickens that are unnaturally grown too fast. And they become so fat they can't stand up to reach food or water and end up dying. Wow. Some birds are so heavy they cannot stand up after falling on their backs. Citing a 2021 camera investigation by an animal rights group, Mercy for Animals, the Los Angeles-based group opposes large-scale factory farms. And the lawsuit accuses Costco executives of violating their fiduciary duty by providing inadequate, individualized veterinary care for chickens raised in Nebraska and Iowa through a subsidiary, Lincoln Premium Poultry. It was formed in 2015 to produce chickens for Costco's trademark $4.99 rotisserie chicken. And I had no idea this was really going on, but I guess they have to be found somewhere. Costco opened a $450 million chicken processing facility in Fremont, Nebraska in 2019. And 120 contract growers were hired to raise chickens that are bred, hatched, and distributed by Lincoln Premium Poultry. The Fremont facility processes about 2 million chickens a week. The company said it supplies nearly half of Costco's total rotisserie chicken. Now that is a death march. And who knew about white striping? It's something that I guess we need to know, but who the heck wants to know once you know? The lawsuit claims that Costco growers often didn't have any prior experience in growing chickens. That the chickens are grown in crowded and filthy barns holding up to 45,000 birds. And that almost all have a condition known as white striping, in which fibrous fat replaces muscle. Lincoln Premium Poultry officials have said that 4 to 5% of its chickens die during the growing process, but said some mortality is to be expected in all livestock operations. Well, it's just sad and gross, but money sings the song, I guess. We'll look the other way at the death as long as we can pay our rent and we can buy food. But do you want to buy it from Costco? $4.99? There's a reason it's so cheap. And now we're taking a very brief blood pressure break. Back in a moment. And we're back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, but not this coming Monday because it's Juneteenth, which is a holiday in New York State and elsewhere in New Jersey. And people are off and not working, and I've been told that we are going swimming or we're going to sit by the pool, but I'm not going to be in the sun. Okay, I will do. Now, Gordon was talking about the E-Train. Now, the E-Train is my favorite train in the New York City subway system. For two very selfish reasons. It stops at the World Trade Center, which is a glorious place to be now that it's been remade into the Oculus, and West 4. I mean, other than that, where else would you want to go in New York City? World Trade Center, West 4, the center of my life. I don't need to go above 14th Street for anything. And as I've told stories before, there are people who still live in New York City who never go above 14th Street. It's just a philosophical thing for them, and they usually live in the Village. But anything they need, they said, is between there and 14th Street. Everything, doctors, food, transportation, never go above 14th Street. That's their rule. Now, the reason that the E-Train is so beloved by many who know is that it happens to be the most reliable train because it is also the only train that remains 100% underground. Every other train, subway train in New York City, at some point comes out of the earth and into the atmosphere. The wide world, let's say, or the wild world, as Cat Stevens would say. And when you go from underground to an elevated line, you have weather, you have flooding, you have icing. But when you're 100% encapsulated, suspended in ember, you don't have those weather problems. You're just there running all day long and all night. Now, the only problem with that is that the E-Train is the most favored train of the homeless because it never goes outside. And it just runs 24 hours a day. It never stops. You can go one end to the other end and never be cold and never be hot because it's always warm and there's always air conditioning. So that's interesting. And because the heat is not always on, when you go outside, the subway cars go outside, then it can get cold and the temperature changes. So if you want a straight and even temperature experience, stay on the E-Train, but try not to live there. Well, we've been talking a lot this week about digital art and avatars and Me 6. And I am a fan of Me 6, the bot, because we use it on our Discord server, and it's very friendly. And you can rename the bot to be a Boles bot, and we did and we do. And they sold an NFT that had embedded plug-in right to it, which is very interesting. It's Web3 is what they call it, where an NFT is not just an image, but it's also a function. It's a license. It can grant you information. Very interesting. And their whole idea is they wanted to have an avatar and the contract function in the same thing. Then they realized they couldn't do it because the technology wasn't there, so they split it. They split into just an avatar that nobody wants, but that everybody talks about. And then the functional NFT, which is supposed to be coming, the first one of like 10 in the next few weeks. But we know that's not going to happen because they've never made one deadline they talked about. So yesterday, after a 2-week wait, just to reveal these avatars, they have been revealed. And people in the Discord group seem generally, I was going to say generously, but I think generally they're okay with these updated avatars. I prefer the original ugly ones. I thought they were much more fun and wacky, and the mistakes made them charming. So I'll show you. I saved my original avatars, which I call the OG ogres. and the new replacement avatars. Now, I thought that was very of them to take back the avatars once they'd been released. Because people on the secondary market had purchased avatars that they liked a lot, and they were taken away. Why can't you just do an airdrop of a second avatar, and so give everybody 2 avatars, an old one and a new one? Why can't they do that? But they didn't. For whatever reason, they didn't want to. So, now we'll have a little vote. Do we like the ogre or do we like the replacement? So this was one of my original avatars. And actually, this one has been updated, and they still have the laser eye problem with the secondary going beneath the hair, which is clearly an ugly, awful mistake. So this is what I originally had. I didn't like it very much, and I bought a couple of very, very, very cheap avatars that nobody else wanted on the secondary market. So I didn't have a dog in the fight when I said, look, there are people who bought these avatars because they liked them, and now you're taking them away. This is the replacement that came down yesterday like around 4 or 5. Now this is a new trait. Moles. So those spots that look like chicken pox, they're calling them moles. M-O-L-E-S. Like skin moles, okay? This hat, I believe, is also new. Now, do we like this better or do we like this better? I think it's a hard choice, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick the laser eyes. Too small to be moles. That's what I say. It's awful looking. And the really ugly background. But I've learned that if you want to use an avatar, a background that has a dark color for these looks better. More like freckles. I agree. That's much better. A freckle. Because when the background is like the same color blue as the me avatar, you can't really see it when it becomes an avatar. Next, this was my other original, a bubblegum, they call it, pink face with the laser eyes and the whirligig hat. Okay, not great, not really my type. I accept it. This is what it was replaced with. Now, I do like this hat, which I also believe is new. I never saw it the first round. These glasses are called the nerd trait, and you can go and look at these on OpenSea, and you can see what the traits are and how rare they are. Macho man. I want to be a macho man. That is kind of what it looks like. Hey at the YMCA. The mouth is digital or something. It has a certain name, but I don't know what it is, but it's okay. And this also, as you can sort of see, are the moles. This is okay. Would I use it? Maybe. Next. This is an original that I bought on the secondary market. I liked the Google Glass thing, which I never really saw in any of the originals before. Or if it was like hidden behind something else. But this one you can see is a Google Glass. And the knife in the head, it fills the top of the space. Not really that interesting, but I got it for the Google Glass. And then I don't know what this mottled stuff is. I have a feeling the trait was called World, but it's all gone now. They've removed it all. And it was replaced yesterday with this. Now this is the same stupid hat that I have on my other one. So I have 2 that look exactly the same, with the mouth with the tongue. Now this is cute, maybe for someone young and innocent and happy, but not for an old grumpy ogre like me. This is not my style. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. This I purchased on the secondary market because it's so weird. I love the pirate hat. I love the me inside the me, M-E-E. I love the misplaced eyebrows, which I don't know where they're supposed to go. I love the smile, and I love the face. And I love the background. Favorite. Terrific. Completely gone. This whole thing of a me within a me with the Canadian split face, South Park fans, gone. They removed it. They couldn't make it work. So to me, this has great value now. This has value in the market because it exists. It existed for, I think, 3 hours. The originals existed about 3 hours, and then they were all removed very quickly. But I saved mine. And so did some other people. And some people never, because, time zones, they were sleeping. So they woke up the next day, they said, where's my avatar? Oh, you didn't see it? No. Well, it's been taken away. What do you mean? I never got to see it. It doesn't exist anymore. What do you mean? You gotta wait 2 more days. For what? To see the replacement. But I never saw the original. Yeah, I know. You were sleeping. Not fair. Just airdrop a second one. Come on now. And this is the replacement. So I go from this, which is weird, to this, which is just... I like the rainbow, because I like filling that top of that space. The rainbow is sort of fun. The laser eyes, I realize and I accept they're just not my thing. I like the purple background. It looks good as an avatar. The expression, this has moles. It's like, oh, I have moles now. It just looks like dirt in an avatar. So this is okay. If I saw this on the secondary market, I wouldn't buy this, but I might buy something close to it, which I might reveal in a moment. And this was just my favorite. This was selling for pennies on the secondary market. Absolutely hated by everyone who saw it, except by me. And I call this Poopy Kitty, because there is poop on the head with steaming poop, so it's fresh, and flies. And then the expression of the Poopy Kitty with her beautiful eyelashes, trying to get over this, plus the digitized outline. Very unique. I never saw anything else like this in that first aborted avatar reveal. So I'm very proud of this Poopy Kitty. Now, a major social media company, if they were having a beta test of NFTs, my feeling is they would say, can you get rid of that Poopy Kitty because it doesn't fit? And if that happens, I don't know what will happen. So my Poopy Kitty that I purchased was replaced without my permission with this. Okay, so it's the nerd glasses. Again, we get that again. I believe this is called Frustrated Face. Bubblegum is the color of the avatar. And this, for whatever reason, is barbed wire. And there's also one that's a halo, but I've only seen one halo. I've seen a lot of barbed wire. This is not a Poopy Kitty replacement. However, I felt that I found my Poopy Kitty replacement, again on the secondary market, again selling for nothing. The gas fee was more than the avatar fee. This is alien with egg on head. The egghead alien, I guess. You get the alien eyes, which I understand are sort of a rare trait, a 0.09 trait. With the digital mouth, these moles that look like mistakes, and then the fried egg on top of the head. Now, I first thought, okay, they chickened out and they replaced the poopy with an egg. Gordon says, I meant to comment, talk about egg on your face. Very good. Egg face, the egg-faced alien. So I thought the egg was replacing the poopy, but then I thought I saw yesterday, but I can't find it again, that one of them did have poopy on it that was a replacement. But the egg is new. There was no egg in the first round. And the egg is kind of interesting, very strange. I believe I've made this my main Facebook page avatar, because the blue background works very well against the light-colored regular blue avatar. And as an avatar on Facebook, it just looks weird. What is that alien thing with an egg on its head? Try to explain that one. So then I'm just looking on the secondary market for other interesting things, especially rejects that people don't want, that I find interesting that they're selling for $1 or $2. And I found a couple of others. This one is universally hated because of this, what people are calling, not me, the Chinaman hat. They don't like it. And they hate the mask. And when you look at these properties, this mask, the property, they call it COVID. And one of the moderators this morning said, why would anybody want a mask on their avatar? And for me, I'm thinking it's about a special place in time in the history of our world that is now memorialized in this avatar. I like the hat because it fills the space, and I love this string. And I love this mask with these strings, and the strings are all stringy in an appropriate way. You put the mask on first and then the hat, and the hat string covers the mask string, which is great. And then this is called the scar. And some of these have scars. And see, I have 3 scars on my forehead, so I felt related to it. Commissioner Gordon says, Malka, it's his lovely daughter, has physical badges as a Girl Scout that show an avatar version of herself wearing a mask, because that's what happened in our lives. I think that's wonderful. It should be remembered and memorialized. And let people ask questions. And if I had time, I saw it right before the show, I should have answered that moderator and said, hey, the mask on the avatar is cool, dude. Relax. Because I think he got one and he didn't like his avatar. So the scar, I find kind of charming, and it connects me. And then, right before we went on the air, I saw another person getting rid of another avatar that they just absolutely hated, and I liked. Okay, the rainbow, I don't object to it. I like the dark background, but this, I love the alien eyes. I believe I had time and I made this my ghost Facebook page avatar. So I have alien with egg on its head, alien egg on its face, and alien with a rainbow hat. The alien, to me, is the most interesting because it looks the least like any of the others. The other eyes are lashes, squinting, looking, but the alien eyes have different eyebrows that are very light. They have dots under the eye and then the shape of the eye. It makes it instantly recognizable and very unique. I've only seen 2 alien eyes so far for sale. And I have them both. But if they all had alien eyes, that's fine. I think the look is good and right for what they're trying to do in the world. So this is what has happened. It's been a big thing, trying to figure out where we're going next with this MeBot stuff. And it's been very fascinating and interesting to try to figure out why and how it's going. And most people, as I said, seem satisfied. Okay, these are better. The replacements are better than the originals. Now we can move on. Where is our NFT function? When are we getting the crypto plugin? Which I don't even understand what the crypto plugin means. I don't think it's about mining. It's not about selling or buying. I think it's just like a crypto plugin that allows you to plug in your wallet, so you can maybe show off your NFT collection on Discord. I don't know. And the founders are not really explaining it very well. And they don't have to explain anything because they've delivered their ridiculous avatars that nobody wanted, they said, but that everybody needed to have. And the reveal took about 3 hours. It was very slow to reveal the actual pictures. And people don't understand why. And I don't either. And now we're taking a very brief blood pressure break. A little messed up on time today, but we'll get back on track in a moment. And we're back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. BOLES.television. We are here Monday through Friday, live, 9 a.m. Eastern. Except on Monday, where we won't be here because of Juneteenth. And while we're on break, Commissioner sent us a lovely avatar image of his lovely daughter, and then didn't play along with our singing game. But here she is, Malka, with pink hair and a crown. And the mask, which we talked about. So cute. I love that. That's how you remember. And it's interesting and unfortunate that as she ages into her 100 years of life or more, she will remember this terrible pandemic. Yeah. Gordon always wants us to sing, but he won't sing along when invited. LOL, sorry, I missed the singing game. He was in the kitchen checking on the oats and coffee. Oh, now that sounds delicious. It sounds very delicious. Now, there was something else that I was just going to mention. The other thing I want to mention. Well, we have this beautiful avatar that we'll think is an NFT. You know, NYC, right? No, it's the other way around. NFT.NYC is happening the 20th to the 23rd in New York City. And it sounds interesting. I'm sure everyone is panicking and heartbroken about the price of Ethereum and everything crashing, but the show must go on and show it shall. So I applied after our friend Ishita said she'd be in town and, meet and all that. And then we had the problem with her Ethereum being worth $6,000 and I had to send it back to her and we're trying to figure that out. But I applied for a press pass for, let me get it right, NFT.NYC. And also I said, hey, I'll give a speech on NFTs and Aristotle's Poetics. But that was 2 weeks ago. I know everything's set. They're not going to ask me to present anything. Because who am I, really? But I thought I'd at least get some kind of response to my request for a press pass. And this NFT.NYC thing celebration appears to be taking all over Manhattan. It's not like in a convention center that I can tell. It's like it's downtown, it's Times Square, then you're here, there, it's everywhere. Which to me is a little confusing because I like conventions that are all in one place and you have booths where you can go around and meet people and it's all in one. And maybe they have that in some form, but it doesn't look like it. So 2 weeks ago I submitted my thing and didn't hear back. I keep checking. I think, well, maybe I missed it because the reason I think I missed it, but I don't think I did, is that I get now 10 to 20 emails a day, excuse me, from PR companies, big PR companies, saying, hey, microphone, hey, we hear you're going to be at NFT.NYC as a member of the press, blah, 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 blah. Would you like to meet, blah, blah, blah. Hey, we're having a party, come on over, blah, 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 blah. Time after time after time after time, all day. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, that looks neat. Ooh, that's neat. Ooh, okay. Yes. But then I'm looking for being accepted as a member of the press, and it never came over. So what I'm thinking is they got my application, and then they put my email address in some kind of press pool that says, hey, contact this big boob over here from Jersey City who thinks he's coming to our show for free and not pay $750. Maybe, you invite him to something, come and then pay the fee. I don't know. It's weird. But somehow they now all have my email address. Which I don't mind because these are very interesting projects that are going on and very interesting people. But out of a philosophy of rebellion and anarchism, I really don't want to play with them between the dates of June 20th to 23rd because I'm being ignored. I'm not just going to be ignored. but I'm not going as far as doing anything to a rabbit. So I keep thinking, well, maybe I missed the invitation from NFT.NYC that, hey, come on over, pick up your press pass over here, have a good time on us. Blah. But as far as I can see, nothing has arrived. However, all these big PR companies think I'm a member of the press, which I am, but I didn't tell them. Someone else told them, which is interesting to me. For the future? Maybe. Who knows? I'm here. I'm ready. Now we're going to go into our next topic, which is both intriguing and confusing. Read a wonderful article the other day about the Mechanical Turk, which is a thing in history. And our conversation is not necessarily going to be about Mechanical Turk, but the idea that people who really don't know things hear of something, think they understand it, and then try to apply that concept incorrectly into something new in the present. They press their meaning into something that doesn't mean that. And I realize that sounds disassociative and technically disconnective, which I would say is right. That's the whole point of what I'm about to say. So here's this thing called the Mechanical Turk. Where is my thing? Yeah. And this is a wonderful, interesting article that talks about Mechanical Turk, an elaborate 18th century hoax that played chess like an AI robot, right? Artificial intelligent robot. An elaborate device called Mechanical Turk defeated in chess Benjamin Franklin, yes, that Benjamin Franklin. Napoleon Bonaparte, yes, that guy at chess. And then, many years later, Edgar Allan Poe, yes, that Edgar Allan Poe, wrote a story about the Mechanical Turk saying it's all been a ruse. It's fake. And people lost a lot of money betting on people who were playing against not a robot, but a person. And here's the short scooping on this, and this helps us to set the stage for Mechanical Turkism. The Mechanical Turk, a wooden box containing an elaborate mechanism inside and a mannequin on top, played chess against and defeated Benjamin Franklin, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Charles Babbage. After 60 years of fooling the world, Edgar Allan Poe revealed why he believed the Turk was a hoax. And the Turk was not the first AI robot. There was a human on the inside. So this story goes and gives all the glorious and gory details about how these really smart people were duped by this hoax. And here it is. This is the Mechanical Turk right here. And there's a chessboard, and the chessboard had magnets on the underside of it that were marked. And this person, this is a fake robot. This is the person in here by candlelight, sitting in the box with his own chess set here, and would look up and see where the opponent was moving their pieces because of the mechanical magnets that were attached somehow to the bottom pieces of the pieces that would move. And how they did that with a knight moving and jumping, I don't know, but obviously they figured it out. And then this person, who was clearly a pretty good chess player, the only person he didn't meet was the chess master Philidor. And this guy in here, the fake Turk, I guess, would move the arms of the Mechanical Turk to make the move. And if you tried to cheat by making an illegal move, or two moves when it should only be one, the Mechanical Turk would do one of two things. One, slam his fist on the table, ending the game, or the Mechanical Turk would slam his fist on the table and then clear all the pieces off the board in fury. And people were shocked. How does the Mechanical Turk know that I cheated? And I guess in the first game with Napoleon cheated, did 3 moves instead of 1, and the Turk caught on and cleared the board and said, get out. Not get out. He didn't speak, but... And then Napoleon said, oh, all right, and came in and played a regular game, 2 games, lost the second game rather quickly against not this person, but the hidden person. Now, I don't understand how people, and this is the door right here, you can kind of see back here, where this person would enter and sit. I guess the whole thing would be rolled in. It looks like there are roller casters here. It'd be rolled in, and then you would play against the Turk. Now, how nobody knew there was a person in there just is very hard to believe for 60 years. And the originator of this made a lot of money, sold it to another guy who made a lot of money for about 10 years until Edgar Allan Poe revealed the whole thing was a big joke, a giant hoax. And this is a long, long, wonderful story about the history of faking people out by pretending that it is mechanical magic. Now, here's where we leap off, wondering about things. Amazon, yes, that Amazon, used to have, and maybe they still have, a service called Mechanical Turk, where they would you could hire people to do menial tasks for you at like a penny a mouse click, like entering data. They still have it. I love it. Oh, Gordon loves it. You love it as a user or as a buyer of the service? As a user, very interesting. And I guess you can have people research things for you or put in data entry, whatever. That's fine. My despair is, whose idea was it to call that service that Gordon loves Mechanical Turk? Because if you know the history of the Mechanical Turk, it's negative. It's a ripoff. It's a joke. It's a hoax. It is fake AI. It's a guy in a box pretending not to be in a guy in a box. Now, maybe for some people, that's fun. Oh, I'm going to have a Mechanical Turk. And people are going to think I'm doing the work when I'm hiring someone else to do the work. Now, to me, that's a negative. I don't like it. Nebraska, it's not for everyone. Hey, Gordon says, there's this one that I do at least once a week where I look at a few images and choose the order in which I prefer them and explain why I like A more than B, B more than C, etc. Get anywhere from 30 cents to $1 for each of them. It adds up. Now, that's interesting, Gordon, that you called yourself a user. Now, to me, that means you are not a user. You are the Turk. You are the Mechanical Turk. You are the Turk inside the machine. To me, the user is the person who's putting that up there and saying, Gordon, go pretend to, do this for me. I mean, do it for me and pretend that I did it. So it's my result. So I think you're a worker. You're not a buyer. Gordon continues to say, like they'll show 4 images of tea kettles. I almost said tea kittens. It's been that kind of day. Tea kettles that the person will be selling on Amazon. And they want you to rank them so they'll do better selling the kettle. That's very interesting. I still don't like the name of the program. And it just reminds me as I read this story, because I always thought Mechanical Turk was a neat thing. It was like the first thing. Well, it's the first, I guess, hoax. The first magic trick that fooled people for 60 years. Until a writer of horror stories figured it out and said, you know what? What you think is real is not real. It's all a joke on you. You're the one losing the money. And I did a whole rant here and in my Human Meme podcast about this whole idea of the Peer Gynt onion. Gordon says, all right, I work the Turk, and I am not a jerk while I twerk. That's not Burke. That's French for yuck. See? Gordon is entertaining himself. He is his own mechanical Turk. I'm reminded of the Peer Gynt onion, where people today not understanding the real idea of the onion that I explained at length in my podcast episode. The original idea of Peer Gynt and the onion is he's going slowly insane and he's looking for the meaning of life. And if he can just peel back the layers of this onion and get to the center, he'll find the answer he's seeking. And as he peels back the layers of the onion, he finds there's nothing there. That the thing that was there were all the layers of the onion that have now been discarded and cast away because they are old and stinky and molding. That is the story of the onion in Peer Gynt by Henrik Ibsen. But people, politicians especially, say, oh, January 6th, we're just beginning to peel away the onion. And unfortunately, there is something at the center of that onion, and it's named Donald J. Trump. But when you use the idea of the Peer Gynt onion, you're playing right into the Republicans' hands, saying, well, you're going to peel it all away and find there's nothing there. What you thought was there, the meaning of life, the answer you're seeking is not there because it's nothing. It's only the layers that tricked you and that there's something there. So today, people apply that idea of peeling back the onion to reveal something that they think is there, but is never there, is misbegotten and mistaken. Just as I argue in this moment that calling yourself a mechanical Turk today is not a good and positive thing. The Nebraska state motto should not be, we're not for everyone. It should be, as I argued in another Human Meme podcast episode, Nebraska. It's for everybody. And continuing this thought, have you heard about the new game show on Netflix? Oh yeah, it's called Squid Game. Now, history is short and memories are not long any longer. If you watched the original Squid Game television series a year ago, whatever, you know Squid Game is about killing people. The last living person wins, and you play these games and you die. So Netflix, desperate for money and subscribers and interest, are trying to recreate the excitement for Squid Game by creating a Squid game show where people compete against each other. And there are rational, reasonable people, unlike me, who think like me and say, hey, wait a minute, Squid Game was about killing people. Why are you having a game show based on Squid Game where people don't die? They just don't win. It's a misapplication of the idea. It is a misbegotten meme, as you might argue. And it's the wrong concept. If you want to have a game of survival, call it a game of survival. But don't name it after your hit show, Squid Game, just to get people to tune in to, some people are thinking it's going to be killing each other, because some people are very gullible and trusting and believing. This also reminds me of this Google thing. Have you heard about this? Where Google has created this AI thing, and there's some guy who has written this article that Google's AI is actually living. It actually has the mentality of an 8-year-old child. Now, this guy has kind of been revealed to sort of be a hoax, and they were kind of editing the responses. But he said, oh, this AI from Google is real. And if we're going to ask it questions and we're going to tempt it and ask it different situations, we need to ask permission first from the AI before we continue. That's what this guy is saying, who I don't think works for Google anymore, was put on leave or something. Weird, right? And Google is saying, we don't believe that our AI is alive. We believe it's a machine. We believe it is artificial intelligence and not a real person. And this guy's trying to argue, well, you don't know that until you ask, until you find out. And it's all kind of ridiculous because there are people now who are entertaining the idea that this Google AI may actually be a person. Now, can you imagine the right wing getting all of that? Oh, Google is killing children, not respecting the rights of children, not asking permission first, just abusing them. It doesn't matter if they're AI or not, they're a person. And you're anti-mask and anti-vax. It doesn't matter. AI is people. People! And it's disturbing. And then this author in the Washington Post today extrapolates the idea that, well, what if AI does become stronger and powerful and we become slaves to AI? Which is what Elon Musk has been saying for 5 years. He said the biggest threat to humanity is artificial intelligence because one day it's going to be smarter than us. Oh, people say, well, cut it off from the internet. And then if you start thinking that way, we say, well, the internet is energy and power, and so this artificial intelligence will just learn to use the roots of trees and sunlight and reflections to share information that way. Completely unproven and imagined, but in this day and age, AI is an 8-year-old child. I mean, anything goes, I guess. And it takes me back to an article that I wrote several years ago for bolesblogs.com. 2009, I was talking about this. ELISA Redux therapy will see you now. And hey, this is the article that I wrote. And it's about this therapy session, and they've taken it down now. I tried to play it. I thought it was like a game, where you're talking to somebody who is pretending to be a therapist and asking you questions about your life. And I asked questions and sort of interestingly got answers back in 2009. And some people went there and thought they were speaking to a real therapist, and that was the trick, to see if they could trick you into believing that they were a real person. The Turing test. So what I would like to know, especially from this 8-year-old Google AI, I would like to speak to it. And this, I believe, is one way you find out how you get to the center of the onion to find out there's nothing there, is you have to ask these AI things, people, children, interesting questions that need an explanation and an example. Now that I've said that, there are going to be programmers out there who go to AI and program that in there. Fine. But I think the trick is can they convince you that they're really an independent thinking entity? Which I guess is the whole point behind AI, is that they don't need you to know what they know. So I would ask this AI, 8-year-old at Google, what is love? Explain idealism to me. I would focus on the philosophy of living. And I would ask them for an answer that doesn't really have one solution. It's not a binary choice. It's a value judgment. Something that is not fixed, something that is more ethereal and based on the experience of living. We need these AI people to tell us the why. WHY. Why? They are very good at solving problems that have beginning, middles, and ends. But they have a hard time explaining why. And usually they try to flip it around on you like ELISA Redux did in my therapy session. Why are you asking me that? Why do you think I'm alive? Don't flip it back on me, ELISA. You answer the question. And she couldn't, and she got frustrated with me, and she disconnected me. This is in 2009. Now, what would the 8-year-old sentient AI do to me today? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that most of us who want to know would be able to ask questions, and we would know rather quickly that AI is not the point of replacing us in any way. But that doesn't mean they're going to not stop trying. And there will be a point, as Elon Musk has said, where AI is going to realize, I guess like most children do, that they are smarter than the people who invented them. And then what? Law, morality, goodness of the soul, does any of that apply to someone who's born of bits and bytes? I don't know, probably not. But it's something interesting to consider. Because in the case of AI, when you peel back the onion, you're going to find that the nothing there is the everything that you could never imagine in your worst nightmares. And on that delightful and delicious note, I believe we've come to the end of our time together. And maybe I'll see you again in a day or two, or maybe even as early as tomorrow morning. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me, david@boles.tv. If you have a question for Jana Marie, she's jana@boles.tv. You can find us on Facebook, regular old BOLES. Thank you for being here, Gordon. We always appreciate you. On Instagram, we are Boles Books. Twitter, @DavidBoles. Super follows to follow. On Instagram, we are Boles TV. And of course, we always love to see you on Discord. Lots of interesting, strange things going on there. And we encourage your participation. Lots of onion peeling, as they say. But no tears. At least not many. So until then, until the morrow hits, may you have a wonderful nap. May you wake up refreshed. May you have a good sleep. And may your soul be filled with joy and anticipation into the next. I'll see you tomorrow.